Hi, I'm Joyce,
I'm Adrielle.
and we are Divinely Guided. And we hope that you're having a great week. We hope that you have started concentrating a little bit more on self care, that you are putting some energy into taking care of yourself and being the best version of yourself. And today we're going to continue on a topic that deals with self care.
Mm-hmm.
How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
You're looking so serious. Huh?
No, I'm just thinking.
Oh, okay. That's okay.
You know by now I do that.
Uh-huh. This is true. This is true. But today we're going to talk about something that I think is really important that we don't really think about enough. Or at least in my opinion, we don't in general think about it enough. And it's about feeding our spirits.
Mm-hmm.
We are almost obsessed with what we feed our physical bodies. But we often neglect what we're feeding our spiritual body.
Yeah.
And it's even more important to feed your spiritual self, even more so than the physical. Don't you? Would you agree?
Yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We would not dare feed ourselves solely junk food for our bodies, but we don't think about what we're feeding our spirits, and often what we're giving them is junk and other things that are not positive and good. And when I think about feeding the spirit, I think about Philippians 4:8, the scripture that says, whatever things are true, things are honest, what's just, what's pure, what's lovely, what's of good report, if there's any virtue, if there's any praise, that we are to think on those things. So I think that it is really important that we feed ourselves those things, those positive things. One of the ways I think we neglect the spirit is we don't consciously think about everything that we see, the things that we listen to, the things that we read, even the people that we associate and things that they say to us. All those things go into our spirit. They feed our spirit. Yeah. Would you agree?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so quite often we will listen to a whole lot of negative things without even thinking about it, without even questioning the validity of it. We just take it in, and it becomes a part of what we're feeding ourselves. Mm-hmm. We don't think about what we're reading. We read the headlines. We read Facebook. We read Instagram. We read newspapers. Does anybody read newspapers anymore?
No.
At least not the physical ones. We read them online, though. I read them online all the time. Okay, so I'm an old lady. That's what I do. But anyway, if you read through that, the headlines, you're just bombarded with negativity. Those things are going into your spirit. Mm-hmm. When you're listening to things on the radio, some of the music, and I hate to be an old fud dud, because I do like to sometimes listen to my old school music, and I turn it up loud and everything. But the music, so many times the lyrics that we're listening to, there's nothing positive, there's nothing redeeming in some of the things that we're listening to. And again, it's becoming a part of our spirits. It's becoming a part of who we are. If you think about it, there are memories that you have of things you've heard, read when you were very small, and they're still very much alive in your memory now. Mm-hmm. When you say so?
Yeah.
So just think about all of the negative things you read every day, or that you hear every day, or that you listen to, without even stopping to say, nope, I'm not putting that in my spirit. And so our spirit man becomes weakened, or it becomes darkened by all the dark stuff that we ingest. And we, just like our bodies are not as well when we don't feed it well, and our bodies don't operate at peak efficiency when we don't feed it nutritious, good things, healthy things. Our spirit man suffers as well when we don't feed our spirits positive things. And so then we're not all that we can be, spiritually speaking.
Yeah.
So what do you think about that? About that whole concept?
Oh, I agree, for sure. I call it the lowercase self and then the uppercase self
Mm-hmm.
that you have to tend to,
Mm-hmm.
because you'll tend to your lowercase self, and that's like the physical self,
Right.
and exactly what you were saying.
Mm-hmm.
But then the spiritual self, which is the uppercase self, as I like to call it, it
Mm-hmm.
starves a lot of the time.
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely.
So if you're not constantly putting, the way the world works to me is like, if you're not constantly putting positivity in there, it kind of defaults to this negative.
Mm-hmm.
You kind of hear things that are super negative from other people's kind of defaulted negative that they're not working to correct. So you got to be careful what you allow in.
Mm-hmm.
We all hear like protect your peace and all that kind of stuff. Like, I'm really big on that.
Mm-hmm.
And especially with social media and stuff, you have to be extra careful what you allow in.
Oh,
Because
absolutely.
there's so much negativity that's just right at your fingertips at all times.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not going to feed your spirit the good food that you need.
Right, right. I was thinking, I heard you say protect your peace, and the older I get, the more important that is to me.
Yeah.
You know, just to protect my peace. And rather than get myself all upset and hot and bothered about things, I will remove myself from the situation.
Mm-hmm.
Or I can totally shut down in your face, and you don't even, you know, my body's still there, but the rest of me has vacated the premises.
Yeah.
I can just totally shut it down, because I'll get to a place where you're not going to feed me a bunch of junk. You're not going to upset my spirit and get me angry, so that then I start, you know, because when your spirit isn't well, it can affect your physical.
Yes.
When my spirit is upset, my heart will start racing. I will get all agitated and irritated and can't sleep and all of those things. But I just refuse to allow. I'm more protective of myself than that. The more and more, you know, as I grow, as I get older.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But I'm sure some people are thinking to yourselves, okay, that sounds sweet. Protect your spirit. Watch what you're feeding your spirit. And then what does that look like? To feed your spirit good things. So what are some of the things you like to do to feed your spirit?
Well, first and foremost, I will go on a social media detox with a quickness.
Mm-hmm.
I will log off for weeks.
You will. You shut the whole.
I will shut the whole page
shut
down.
it down.
Like, they'll be trying
You
to
will.
tag me, and I'm like, I don't have a Facebook.
I'm
right
out. Right.
Now. Yeah, I really don't play about that. I also like to read. I don't even want to call them self-help books, but self-help books. I'm really into the like 4 Agreements and Eckhart Tolle, stuff like that right now.
Mm-hmm.
So that helps a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Also, a lot of the other stuff that we've been talking about on the podcast, like meditating and yoga,
Right.
that
Yes.
feeds my spirit.
Oh, absolutely. And I was thinking that, I was like, really, everything that we've talked about in self-care really are things that feed your spirit.
Yeah.
That taking that time out, that just the quietness, the stillness, the slowing down, all of those things are really critical when it comes to feeding your spirit. The meditation, because you can, right, the daily affirmations, absolutely, because you're telling yourself the positive things, which wards off the negative things. There's not room for darkness and light in the same place. So when you fill your spirit with the light, the darkness has no.
That's me.
Oh, I was gonna say, what in the world is that? I start to leave this place. But there's no room for darkness and light at the same place. So when you bring in the light, the darkness must flee.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you turn on that light, boom, darkness is gone. But yeah, that meditation, the affirmations, the yoga, those physical things, exercise, all of those things are things that can feed your spirit.
Yeah.
But there are some simple things too that feed your spirit. Just doing things that make you feel positive about yourself. We have some friends and relationships that can feed our spirit.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I have some of the best sisters in the world. I can talk to either one of them.
Me too.
You too?
Yeah.
I can talk to either one of them, and they are going to help feed my spirit. They are going to, I remember at a point when I was dealing with my own personal depression and struggling, because I talked about a little bit on some earlier podcasts when I was just going and operating on E. And when you're operating on E, you're not going to be feeling your best. And so I would just have periods where I was just in a dark place. I was just depressed and unhappy. And I had one of my sisters in particular, and I would call her and I say, "Oh, Al, I'm so depressed today." And then I would talk to her. And she talked to me. Psychology is her where her degree is, but it's also who she is. You know, she could just cut right through to the heart of what's bothering you.
Yeah.
And sometimes she would do that. But then we never finished the conversation without her going to the other part of her that helps heal, is that laughter.
Yeah.
She could make me laugh. I mean, we would laugh. I would laugh until I was on the verge of tears. My face would be hurting. And then we just, you know, it was like the darkness was lifted. But she was feeding my spirit. And then she would tell me, okay, take your little depression to go on. Because by that point, I was feeling so lifted.
Yeah.
And then my younger sister, Julia, she was like my personal cheerleader who always finds the positive in everything that I've done, and she will remind me of those things and always makes me feel better by her belief in me. And then I have some sisters that were not, you know, we're not biological sisters, but they feed into my spirit too. They encourage me. They challenge me to think about things differently. They encourage me to take a step forward or expand myself. And all those things are positive things that, again, feed my spirit. And then, you know, so relationships can feed your spirit. Little things you can find in your daily life can help feed your spirit. Like you were mentioning, what is it that you're reading? Are you spending time listening to God, however you worship him? Are you taking time to spend with God so that he can pour into you and feed your spirit? Are you taking time to step away from the rat race, from the constant going? Because that can feed your spirit. One of the favorite things I love to do to feed my spirit, of course, I love music. And so I listen to a lot of different music. I love my gospel music. But like I mentioned earlier, sometimes I revert back to some of my old school music because it takes me back to a place of peace and youth and exhilaration. And I need that sometimes. But one of my absolute favorite, as I was going to say, is going to the beach.
Yeah. You and the beach.
Me and the beach. Man, that is my absolute solace. I like to go sit on that beach and dig my feet over in that wet sand, listen to the sound of the surf, that rhythmic pound of the surf as it's coming in, the cry of the seagull off in the distance, the sound of laughter and joy, you know, from other people along. I just feel that sun beaming down on me. It seems to warm me down past my surface down into my spirit. I just love it. I like to just go and sit. I like to go and get out in the water and just let the waves overcome me. I love it.
I realized something recently. The way you feel about the beach is like me and like the woods. So I'll go hiking and it's that same kind of thing.
Yeah, I know you love that.
I don't like the beach, but I do like the woods.
But I think I must have dragged you to the beach too many times.
It was that we had to sit there for 6 hours and like burn. I was like, okay. So I prefer the woods personally. But it's just me.
Yeah. So I shared some of the things, and you said you like nature.
I do like nature. I love hiking. And working out. Working out is also a good thing for me when it comes to feeding my spirit.
Yes, yes. There are so many things that you can do to feed your spirit. But I just want today that you to leave this podcast making a conscious decision to feed your spirit something positive. Don't neglect your spirit. Take as much care or more of your spirit as you do your physical person. Make sure that you're reading things that uplift and enlighten. Make sure you're watching things that uplift and enlighten. Make sure that you're cultivating friendships and relationships that uplift and enlighten. Because you deserve it. And when you feed your spirit and your spirit man becomes stronger, you become physically stronger, mentally stronger, you feel better emotionally. You feed yourself in all ways when you feed your spirit. So don't neglect your spirit. And we're looking forward to hearing from you. What are some of the things that you like to do? We've shared with you some of the things: the yoga, the meditation, the reading, the exercise, the trips to nature, the trips to the beach, I know you like to also light your candles, and
Yeah, I do that.
you also do one thing that I do a lot is you like to try different scents, and you surround yourself by the different scents.
Yeah.
Those things that make you feel good. But what are the things that you like to do to lift your spirit? Think about it. Don't just go through life on automatic pilot, which is what we do quite often.
Yeah.
But take time to feed your spirit. Take time to do self-care. Become the best version of you. Not because you're doing it for someone else, but because you're doing it for yourself, and you definitely deserve it. Do you have anything you want to add to that? I've talked way too much today.
I think you said it all. You said it all.
All right. Well, since Adrielle won't give me anything else, I will leave it at that. But we do hope that you will share, that you will subscribe, that you will comment below. We appreciate you commenting on Facebook, but we'd also love to see your comments right here below on the page. But tell a friend about it. Tell a friend to come join us. And by all means, please, I'm looking forward to hearing, what do you do to feed your spirit? There's no one right answer, or no one thing fits all. So we're looking forward to hear, what are you doing? What is this something that we can learn from, or that we can grow from, and we can all just continue to grow better together?
Yeah.
All right. Well, have a good night.